Hi, I'm Jay, one of the partners here at Real Street Performance. Real Street Performance started in 2006. By 13, we really had some wind under our sails. I think that I was probably mystified with the Toyota Supra as a teenager. And one day a friend of mine, a lot porter at a Toyota dealership, snuck a turbo car over and we took it for a spin. You know, I had Fox body Mustangs. So to hop in a car of that caliber, it was really got my attention. I think the first time I ever felt a Supra on C16 and 30 PSI, where it would plant and move in third gear really well on asphalt, that was it. I was just like, I was really in at that point. And the JZ is a fairly simple engine that if you just treat it well and don't do dumb stuff to it, you can have a ton of fun. It was easy to take my early learning of being very careful with fragile engines and apply that to a tough engine and have a lot of fun with it. And then we started drag racing our white Supra, having gotten away from an IRS and starting with a 4-link, using the Motec system and starting to learn through that and apply its abilities. Drag racing that car, you know, I think that the guys wanted to go 6s on ethanol and air-to-air intercooler. You know, we could do it in a capacity that you could do a drag and drive event. That's what we did, and it was cool. If someone comes to me and they say, I have a goal, I can say, well, here's a roadmap. And I think that's important when you're in the business we're in, to be able to give good guidance. You know, being a racer is a pretty hardcore thing. You've got to be able to have a full-time job and then have time to be a racer, and that could be, you know, 20 hours a week that you have to pour into this race car. So I wouldn't say that we've lost interest, but we've changed focus a bit. And parts distribution, and there's a handful of customers that are legacy customers and some really cool old cars that we're integrating new technology on that are, I guess, maybe picking the jobs that you want to do and not having to be a cattle call. You know, that's been a major shift in the last 5 or 6 years. The technical videos were really born out of some travel work. When you go to other countries and you realize that there are a few men that know and they guard it very closely, and then the major population just keeps hitting themselves in the head with the same hammer. So to be able to provide those guys with a path to get to play with their toys, and it wasn't really a cost to us, you know, do this, not that. You know, it was basic stuff that maybe you and I, because of our background or training, we would know to not make those mistakes. But a lot of people, you don't know until you feel the pain of the mistake. So to be able to save people the pain of making a mistake out of ignorance, that to me has been a really neat perk of my work. Well, this is the first TX2K that I had been to that I wasn't an active member in winning the race. Brett LaSala is here now at Real Street, and he's a super self-sufficient racer. And we've been kind of piddling around with this Mustang of his, and it's a wicked powerful car, and it's got a really nice chassis, and it's fun to race. And it was cool. I sat in the winner's circle and I looked at what was happening, and I gracefully realized there's a changing of the guards, because I don't have to be that guy anymore. I really love racing, and I still do the land speed stuff because that's kind of what I've been getting off, and that's my vibe at the moment. But I'm happy to pass the torch on the drag racing stuff to Brett. The white Supra is a kind of a pillar of the company. We were able to have a lot of fun with that car and go fast with it. The only time I've been in the 6s is in that car, and I could close my eyes and tell you exactly how I felt when it went into high gear, and exactly how far I was from the stripe, and thinking like, I gotta keep going because it's a fast car, you know? The new car was just a revision of that. Having the opportunity to have a chassis that will be lighter. It's a very high-end chassis. You know, it costs a ton of money to build. Basically just have a car that if it goes 225 or 230, you feel comfortable in doing that. If Gio was to be the driver of it, well, he's got children. You know, it's dangerous enough racing a car that if you're gonna be going 6s at over 200 miles an hour, like you wanna be as safe as you can be for the environment. Working with TRC has been a really neat deal. Those guys will tell you that when I met them, I didn't know who they were because I had my head down working. I was building a lot of Subaru EG25 engines. So a couple guys came up from South Florida. I put an EJ25 in their trunk. The engine performed well, lasted a long time. So I kind of had an earned in with them before I knew who they were. As they progressed into their own Supra, then it was just kind of shoe-in for I would be their guy. The R32 has always had a very special place with me. You guys down under have done a phenomenal job of taking that platform and turning it into what it is. Because it was a native platform for Australia, it really got good over time, whereas we had limited access. So they're around in the States. I never really got to have the love affair I would have with an R32 simply due to exposure. And you can see that in different car cultures throughout the world. People fall in love with what they have access to. It doesn't make sense to be in love with a car that you'll never be able to get near, right? So I think the separation kind of kept me from getting Skyline fever. The sound of an RB26. The way that the stroke affects the engine's tone and how low stroke engines sound. I think that, I don't know if they meant to do it or not, but they created this very exotic, beautiful sounding engine. The JZs sound cool, but the RB26 platform is always gonna have that tone that the JZ just doesn't have. I've kind of been to the end of where I would go with a JZ. Like if we got that other white car running, maybe I'd figured out what 100 pounds of boost feels like. I can't do it over again in the JZ. I don't think I left anything really unturned. We do have an engine dyno cell and an engine dyno that's gonna be a lot of what we're going to be doing. And for me to go at the road alone and understand and bridge the quirks in the RB26 would take a lot of time. So it would only make sense to partner with someone like you that we could get a good result and share the result. And maybe people that hadn't seen some of the early stuff that you've done, or maybe we can turn it a little bit harder or polish it a little bit more the next time around. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in RB26 things. We are over 40 people, a lot of American-based companies, so a lot of engine hard part internals. If you're looking for pistons and rods or a precision turbocharger, it's very easy to find Real Street. As far as Australian partners, there's PRP, and we do have kind of an emerging, developing relationship with RTEC. I mean, those guys are doing what the aftermarket has needed for a while in the terms of an easily accessible manifold. So the RTEC thing is exciting because you have the opportunity to have a long-term solution in an easy format to work with. I was at PRI a few years ago, and I kind of like stood across the room and I was eyeing Herman because I'd seen him on the internet, and I was like, look at all this stuff. And I was pretty starstruck to meet him because he's a cool guy and he built a killer product. And to see that engine at TX2K, you know, it was kind of an arsenal of parts all over this engine. And you get into really complex parts like that crank sprocket that's paired as a reluctor. You know, like those are neat components. So you don't just get a hacksaw out and make stuff like that. So I think that he has a neat product line that's really something to be proud of. And the colors and anodizing and the laser etching, it's nice stuff. So if you're gonna buy components to do that job, to get beautiful components with nice finish work is just kind of like cherry on top of the sundae. I have had very positive experiences with Plaza Man, very positive experiences with Hypertune. I could talk to you about Motec for an hour straight. Most of the stuff that we sell, I would say 90% of the stuff we sell, I have some sort of existing relationship. Promote that component through real life experience has helped. All of the sales staff is highly trained. And then it goes into a very well-managed system that when the customer hangs up the phone, what's supposed to happen, happens. They're gonna get what they paid for. If they have questions or need support, we're there for them. So I think that being a technical resource for the community certainly has helped us advance, but it's just a piece of the puzzle. All right, so now that you know a little bit about Real Street, let's go for a tour of the facility. So this is the showroom here at Real Street. We have a waiting area, we have reception, we have a box of shame, and then some other choice parts throughout the area. Box of shame, if there's anything in here that you want to know how it happened, I probably know about all of them, but they all were once glorious finely machined components, and they got turned into, I think, what you guys call binnable items. So there they are. And then you come through here, and we have our conference room where we talk about stuff. Yes, that's where we talk about RBs. And then you come out into the workshop area, which has shrunk over time. Yeah, race cars, and there's some 60s American hardware that we've been getting into, integrating Motec systems on older cars, the people that want high-powered cars but want good traction control and good system control. So over here we have a engine dyno cell, kind of a core bin for us to work through stuff, to build stuff for the engine dyno. And then here's our chassis dyno, which doesn't get used nearly as much as it used to, but it's a beautiful cell to work in. It's got a fantastic airflow, but it's a really neat component to have access to. Brett LaSala, he is a very experienced, seasoned auto technician, and he has built this car. It's a very well-prepared car. When I first started working with Brett, it was helping him with his integration into Motec. And it was one of the cars, like as a guy that's doing that type of work, when you find the cars that are well prepared, it's very easy to perform with. And that's that car. It's just it's a fantastically wicked fast car. It's a FFRE Coyote engine. It has a precision 80mm turbochargers, so it's the next gen. Currently under on back pressure, so we're not there yet. It's he just won a 6-week event, bottom 650s, 215-ish. Really, really wicked piece. I know that everyone loves to say that there's more in it. It's one of the things we've heard for a long time when people talk about how their cars run, but the Mustang is not at its limit yet. There's still quite a bit of ET and speed to be had. It is an incredible engine that has a Honda level airflow with a little bit of displacement behind it, whereas the JZs are fairly small engines. Just having 300 inches to play with has been really cool. Gio needed to stop building his own hot rods in the company. We kind of all put into the pot and built this car together. And it was a very, very neat experience. I mean, I think the first time we went out, I had a 76-103 and it went 725 with a little bit of nitrous. And as soon as I let go of the button, the difference between a 4-link car and how it moves forward versus the IRS car kind of like wiggles its butt and gets its act together and then squirts off the starting line, the 4-link was a really fun platform to race. Just learning the limits of the stock engine block and having to work through that, it was really a neat experience. It is currently a 94-103. It's got a billet Mazworks 2JZ in it. It's got a TH400 with a lockup. The transmission is a M&M. The converter is a Pro Torque. It's managed by a Motec, currently for sale if you're shopping for a 6-second car and you just want to get in, let go of the button and have a little bit of a party. This could be your next ride. The replacement for it is over there. It's a beautiful car. It's built by Precision Chassis up in Pennsylvania. The same man that built Joel Grannis's Supra. And it basically, we said, like, did you enjoy building that car? And he said, yes. And I said, what would you do if you're gonna build another? And he said, I would have done these things. And I said, well, do those things. And that's how that car was born. No radiator, air to water intercooler, hundreds of pounds less weight. Driver is seated lower in the vehicle, keeping you further away from the roll cage. Much beefier 4-link. There are a lot of like Pro Mod level chassis components in the rear of the car to try to create the stability and environment to have a low 6-second car that you can just party with. These are all of the components that are in stock at Real Street. There's a ton of precision. There's a ton of everything. Anything that's like hardcore engine components, like you're building an engine, we're here to help you. That's our mainstay. We don't have spoilers and seats and show bits like that. You're not gonna find a lighting kit here, but you're gonna find hardcore engine components and go fast bits. Yeah, we're really proud of it. It takes a lot of good people. The people that work in this company, there's no one here that is looking to be replaced. We have what we believe to be the best team.